Hello Venera, this is my feedback to your summary from last week. So let's begin. In his lecture, right, then you want to include the title, remember? Dr. Archibugi, okay. You've included the name, that's good. Talks about the difference between the terms innovation and invention. If you say the terms, then there is no article, no preposition. But if you say concepts, it could say the concepts of. But again, this is a little bit strange. So you don't really need an article, even if you say concepts. You can say the concepts of innovation and invention. But I think it's better to just drop the preposition. And if you use terms, you definitely cannot say the terms of. Okay? Now remember we were saying that the first sentence should be argumentative, so we include things like argues that, claims that. And I realized this video was very descriptive. It's hard to state the main idea, summarize it argumentatively, but you can still try. You could say argues that there is an important distinction between invention and innovation. It's a kind of a weak argument, but still better than descriptively saying it talks about, right? First of all, he defines invention as a new, not implemented development. I would say here this doesn't work very well. New, not implemented. I would say as a new development which has not been implemented. That would be a relative clause would be better here. Because when you use a comma, you usually list adjectives which are parallel. But these are not parallel. New, not implemented, this is a negative, right? So that kind of ruins the parallelism. If it was a negative adjective, which was one word, for instance, if the word unimplemented existed in the English language, then you could say that. But then it'll be weird to say that. So then in that case, instead of listing the two with a comma between them, you can just use a relative phrase. So as a new development which has not yet been implemented, something like that. Now you do not necessarily need to repeat his own words, the words that he used. You could just say which hasn't been commercialized, like that. That's a term now. So you can repeat commercialized product is a key term. You can do that. So invention as a new development which has not yet become a commercialized product, while innovation is widely available on the market. And then you will avoid the repetition here, right? Something like that. This contraction is a little bit informal as well. So in academic language we say it is, and used by society. Overall this sentence is quite clear. Just work on a few little things, but you have made a good distinction between the two. Okay, and it's important to start with that supporting idea. He then presents to the public. Okay, these are his students, so just say he then presents some examples which became successful on the market and some which are useless for people. He also notices some features of innovation as the heterogeneity, capability of engineers. Yeah. Now, what is the supporting idea here? He tries it out. He tests the student. He says, okay, is this an innovation? Is that an invention? You can think of a supporting idea. It's not very clear because the video is so descriptive, but you can try. So you could say something like, to illustrate the difficulty in making clear distinctions between the two concepts, comma, he presents some examples, right? And you also want to avoid here this is very informal, useless for people, right? We do that in spoken language, but not in a summary like that. Okay. He also notices some features of innovation as there's no the here, heterogeneity, capability. These are just abstract features, so there's no need for this article. As heterogeneity. Now here you do need the capability of engineers and the uncertainty of the economic impact. Yeah, okay, very nice. Of their economic impact, right? Or because it's innovation, it should be its economic impact. Now notices is a good word to use if he just kind of notices it in passing, but he actually discusses it, demonstrates it at length. So he also discusses, or just Archibuggi goes on to discuss some features of innovation, such as, right? Here you do need such as. Its heterogeneity, the capability of engineers, and the uncertainty of its economic impact. Okay, so that's nice. I'm not sure what this is referring to, but I will accept it because it did kind of mention something like that. To somebody who hasn't seen the video, it will be a little bit difficult to understand these things, especially the first two. The uncertainty of its economic impact is clear to anyone, right? You don't have to see the video to understand that not all innovations may have an impact. Here I'm not sure what this is talking about. Maybe you want to make that a little bit more clear. Because it's coming out of the lecture, but if I haven't seen the video, I just read the summary. What does heterogeneity mean here? You know, heterogeneity can mean a lot of things, right? Maybe you're trying to substitute for variety. I'm not very sure. It's good to try to use your own wording, but you should always apply the final test to whatever you've written. If somebody who hasn't seen the video cannot quite understand, then you should try and make it more clear. Okay? Maybe you want to say, I don't know, technological complexity or something. That'll be more clear than capability of engineers, because it's just not very clear here. This one is clear. But again, this is an important supporting idea, the characteristics of innovation. Okay, very good. The lecture continues, okay, nice, with the importance of diversity indicators of a product for the market and society that should be taken into account. Sure. Okay, sure. The importance of diversity indicators. Yeah, okay. I'm not sure what the supporting idea is here. What is that trying to say? Is that, are you trying to say that innovation is often the introduction of a new feature to an existing product, which results in a wide variety of products on the market? Maybe, I don't know, something like that. Because really an innovation can be, you already have a product, but if you just add something new, then you can sell it, then you can get a patent, and that's considered innovation. So maybe that's what you're saying. And because so many new smaller innovations, little functionalities or aspects are added to existing products, that creates an enormous variety on the market, a variety of products, right? Maybe something like that. Because here the importance of diversity indicators, I'm just not sure what this is referring to. So you want to make that clear, right? Again, to somebody who has not read the lecture, they have not seen the lecture. Bringing the example of a ball pen invention. I like the ing. You've done a good job here. Nice little cohesive device. More extended. Instead of simply saying furthermore, additionally. That's nice. I would say giving an example, right? Provide, give an example. You don't bring an example. Of a ballpoint invention. The professor shows that it was patented several times in different places, but only one was accepted successfully. All of that is just detail. It's just the history, the story of the pen. What is the supporting idea that he was trying to illustrate with this story? Because the implementation depended on master's knowledge, patience, materials, and other factors. All of these are good things. He did mention them as part of the story, but really what the story illustrates, that would be the supporting idea you would include here, was more about how the pen, from an insignificant invention which was completely invented at the beginning, became this enormous innovation with such an impact on society that now everybody uses a pen. And you have mentioned there it cannot be predicted. So here I would just stick with the supporting idea that would bring more value to the summary, because this is just detail, right? And I would guess his reason for showing the pen, he pulled it out of his pocket like a magic trick and said initially it was just a neglected invention, but then after, I don't know, did he say 50 years? I don't remember exactly. When it became an innovation, all of a sudden, look, everybody's using a pen. And so the idea was, what can start out as seemingly insignificant invention can have an enormous impact when it becomes an innovation. It can have a huge economic impact. Something like that. So, and that is an important idea. So you could include that. Okay? So I would say focus more on the supporting idea that illustrates the story of the pen. Not so much in the detail, whether it was patented several times and it was accepted successfully. All of that is a cool story, but it's just an example. What it illustrates is this paradoxical idea that an invention can start out as neglected and insignificant, but once it becomes an innovation, it can have a huge impact, and nobody can predict, as you say here. Therefore, it's never can be, you want to rephrase that. That's just not grammatical. Whether the unknown invention becomes a helpful innovation which would be used in people's everyday life. Yeah, okay. Now here you do want to say, in conclusion, finally, something like that. Remember, it's your concluding sentence. So you can tidy this last section up. And that's what he ends with. Now this paragraph is just very descriptive. I think you made an effort, you tried to use your own words, so good work. Overall, I can see the structure here, some cohesion here. He then, first of all, continues with lots of reporting verbs, different reporting verbs. So there's quite a few good things here in this summary. And I'm sure the exam video will not be anything like this. It will be more clear and more easily summarizable, and it should be easier to focus on the supporting ideas. But overall, good work, Venera. Keep it up. I hope this feedback was helpful to you.